True confessions? More like false confessions.
I mean, she's saying her truth, but she's awful, so...
She may be true, but that doesn't mean it's right.
Oh, there you go.
Snaps all around.
That is our review of the movie. Thanks for watching. Before the intro this time. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Y'all could just log off now. Welcome, everybody, to the DCOM Duo podcast.
I'm Benji.
I'm Kelsey.
We're the DCOM Duo
Podcast.
Yeah. We talk about Disney Channel original movies.
That we do.
And we're going to talk about all of them.
All of them.
Why we're talking about Tru Confessions. I don't think we would talk about it if we were being picking and choosing.
I never would have watched this movie if it wasn't for watching every single Disney Channel original movie. So here we are.
I genuinely wonder, like, in terms of if we were picking and choosing, let's say we were doing like the top 100 DCOMs. We're just like wanting to talk about 100 DCOMs. I don't even think this cracks the top 100 in terms of ones we would want to talk about.
Right, because there are worse DCOMs, but they're more fun to talk about.
This one, we'll get into it more. This is one of the rare times I actually think both of our opinions notably dropped of a movie.
Yeah.
On a rewatch.
I don't know. I don't even know where I put it. I have to find it in the list. Where did I rank this?
This podcast, we've seen all the DCOMs before, but then we're rewatching them for this. And usually within this podcast, it's been a lot of small downgrades and a couple of big jumpers, is what I would say.
Yeah.
A couple movies were like, know what? No, we defend that like a lot more now.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that we're like, wait a minute.
This was notably worse than I think we were giving it credit for.
That was worse. We don't really do that often. It's easier to like a movie as you're watching it, as opposed to months down the line where you're like, what happened in that movie? I don't even remember. Like, usually my bias is I just watched that. That was cool. And this one, it was like, is this one that good?
I think there's a lot of stuff on the surface level that can make this kind of problematic. We'll talk about that as we get deeper into it. But honestly, I think when I watched it the first time, that didn't bug me as enough because there is some real power, some good scenes, like powerful scenes within this movie.
Yeah.
And I think watching it again, I'm like, it's not enough.
It doesn't feel earned.
No. Yeah.
Well, before we get into the movie, we can shout out our fan mail. We don't have fan mail.
Oh. We had a couple of YouTube comments.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Nothing too.
Well, I also had something to say beyond it, but no, you go first.
Yeah. First off, shout out to JB-BC2RY for finding us through our collaboration video with Cam Sandwich.
Yeah. That's great.
And also Tyler6420 for, I believe, the same thing, just was talking about seeing that exact part. Honestly, I think our community post just started appearing in people's feed at some point.
Okay.
Again, because we got multiple comments on it, even though it is like months old. So, thank you. We appreciate the comment.
Yeah. If you have thoughts, comment on YouTube, whatever. You can email us at thedcomduo@gmail.com. We love hearing any thoughts about any DCOM. One thing I wanted to mention, and I haven't even told Benji about this because I literally just found it today. On our TikTok, one of the comments on one of our videos got like held for review, and it's because it was a mean comment.
Oh my.
So I ended up deleting it because I'm like, okay, we don't need this mean comment there. But basically what it said was, such poor audio quality for a podcast. Get for real or something like that. And first off, it's funny because like, why are you getting worked up about these two people that don't have a following like making a podcast?
That video probably had like 200 views.
Yeah, like, calm down. You don't have to listen to us. We are nobody. Second, we're not profiting on this at all. We are not professional. We're doing this purely for fun.
Yeah.
We know the audio quality is bad because we didn't feel like spending a lot of money for this hobby. right now, but yeah, so I just want to acknowledge and thank you everybody for listening to us despite our unprofessionalism. Because we're just here for a good time.
Yeah.
That being said, we are highly considering actually investing in a better microphone system, especially because we've been struggling lately with our audio.
Yeah, a couple episodes ago, long story short, our normal mic setup got completely undone in terms of busted within the software and we can't do it anymore. And we might be using that as an excuse to actually buy better mics.
Yeah. Like, we're just a couple of cheapos with some USB microphones recording a podcast for fun. But now that we're a few years into our podcast, we're like, maybe we should actually invest in a better microphone system because assuming we keep going as we're going, we have a few years left.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, again, we've only we've only made $0.00 on this podcast, so you can say whatever you want, but just know we are genuinely, we don't care.
No, it was funny.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I don't care what you think about our audio quality. Like, personally, I do wish it was a little better. Honestly, more because editing it would be more fun if it was better audio quality for me. But yeah. So thank you guys for bearing with us with all of our audio problems we've had.
We got a mean comment.
Yeah, we got a mean comment.
We really made it.
We're a podcast, man. Like,
Also,
we're a podcast.
What terrifying term, podcast.
Podcast. Like,
that's so professional.
Like, you're just a podcast, your audio sucks. I'm like, thank you for engaging in our content, sir.
All you're doing is helping our metrics.
For real. Yeah, so stay tuned. Maybe we'll sound better in 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever.
Or maybe we won't.
Maybe we'll sound bad forever. But you know what? We're just here for the vibes.
Yeah. Speaking of vibes, Tru Confessions kind of has some weird ones.
Some weird melodramatic vibes.
Yeah. But before we get into the movie, let's go through our factos.
Factos, DCOM, duo, factos.
Sponsored by nobody.
We used to make that joke a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't we?
Maybe. You're the one who edits the podcast, so you...
Maybe not. I feel like in the beginning episodes, yeah. All right.
This movie, Tru Confessions, released April 5th, 2002. It was the 37th DCOM. Wow. The director of this is Paul Hohen. We have covered him many times before, and we will cover him many times after.
I can't believe, there's still so many that we haven't covered.
This guy is really like our barometer on how far we've gone. And it's like, no, we really are just halfway, you know?
We are halfway. Yeah, so which ones have we done? Let It Shine, I see.
Yeah, we've done Let It Shine.
Jump In,
Dad Napped.
Invisible Sister.
And now Tru Confession. The other ones of his that we haven't done are Luck of the Irish, You Wish, Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off, Read It and Weep, Cheetah Girls One World, Camp Rock 2, Cloud 9, How to Build a Better Boy, and all 4 Zombies films. Zombies 4 hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, 4th one hasn't even come out yet. And you know what? We ain't covering it when it comes out because we haven't covered the first 3 zombies.
Unless we cover the first 3 zombies
really fast.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Paul Owen won a DGA award for Let It Shine and Jump In. I kind of just took the notes from a previous one.
Yeah, those are 2 of his better ones.
I would honestly argue possibly his 2 best.
Possibly the best. I am partial to the Zombies films. But
yeah, and How to Build a Better Boy is pretty iconic. Too.
That one's pretty fun. And Cloud 9. Who could forget Cloud 9?
I can. He also did a bunch of kids' TV as well, just producing director. Andy Mack's one example. Whatever, we've talked about him enough.
Paul.
Let's go to Clara Bryant, who plays Trudy Elizabeth Walker. She was also in Under Wraps, so
we've talked about her because we did watch that movie.
Yeah, she won a Young Artist Award for leading young actress for this role, so congrats to her for that. She was on a few episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, that's fun.
And she's retired from acting. She retired in 2008, and she's a lawyer in Atlanta now.
I love that so many of these actors like did the kid thing in a DCOM and now they're just like in a normal career.
Yeah.
It happens a
It's
lot.
wild how many normal jobs I can find.
Yeah.
Playing Eddie Walker is Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
So Shia LaBeouf is a big deal. I'm not mentioning everything in here. We have talked about him before, but this is the first one where he's really like the star because he was in Hounded.
Yeah.
And he's
And
also in Even Stevens.
yeah, this isn't even the DCOM where he's the most star.
Yeah.
Because that's Even Stevens.
Yeah. Major credits include, but are definitely not limited to, Holes, the Transformers films, Peanut Butter Falcon, Surf's Up, Nymphomaniac, the fourth Indiana Jones, a lot of other stuff. Normally, if there is an actor who had a child role playing a kid with mental disabilities when you have no disabilities of your own, that would be among the most controversial things you've done as an actor. Just
Does Leo get flack for it too? Leonardo DiCaprio did the same thing.
It happened. Like, I feel like that maybe is more of a modern take. Maybe I'm wrong about all that.
Yeah.
But I was leaning that in to say Shia LaBeouf has had a lot bigger, more notable controversies. I don't want to go into all of them here, but I just want to make sure it's known. Like, he's had a very up and down rocky career while being kind of an A-lister. He's a Disney Channel A-lister.
This guy's an actual cannibal.
Yeah. And that's like one of his minor controversies. And since we last talked about him, he did star in one thing pretty notable, being Megalopolis.
Dang.
So, Megalopolis is kind of the moment.
It's a moment.
It was certainly a thing. I don't know if we needed to say anything more.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, Shia LaBeouf. Again, it kind of feels weird when you know everything, where it feels... I just feel like this movie feels exploitative in a way where it's coming from a place of trying to be good-hearted, but it also feels like the family's just kind of not treating Eddie as a human. If that makes sense. I can give my arguments more when we go through scenes by scenes.
Yeah.
But I just feel like talking about it when we're talking about Shia's portrayal of him. Like, it's a weird role. He probably did what he was directed to do, and he's a kid star. I'm not gonna harp on anything with all of that.
I think for what he was trying to do, he did a good job.
Yeah.
The question is, should it have been done at all?
The plot of the movie being about living with a child or being like the sibling of a child who's mentally disabled has purpose, a plot, and like a story to tell within there. I just don't like how they did it, and I feel like it makes this movie feel a little more picky.
Yeah.
That was my take watching it this time. All right, moving on to the mom of the movie. Mayor Winningham played Ginny Walker. This is one of the people that I'm most amazed about when I was doing the factos this time. I did not realize how big of a star she actually was. She's actually a big deal. She won an Emmy. She's won 2 Emmys, actually, for Amber Waves and George Wallace, both as leading actress in a TV movie or limited series. She got an Oscar nomination for supporting actress from Georgia. She's been a multiple-time Tony nominee for lead actress, both for Casa Valentina and Girl from North County. So, on a nomination side, she's a Grammy nomination from a nomination EGOT, which is kind of insane.
Oh.
You know, for someone I didn't completely recognize. I should have probably recognized some stuff. She's had some notable roles. She's St. Elmo's Fire, American Horror Story, Dope Sick, Philomena, Grey's Anatomy, ER, all of those as like either critically acclaimed or notable roles.
Yeah, I do remember her in Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, from what I read, she was like a pretty significant side role.
Yeah, and I just checked again to make sure I knew who it was, and she was only in 6 episodes, but like it was pretty significant plot where it was like
it's like Meredith's mom or
Meredith's
something.
stepmom, and then she dies, and it causes a lot of drama.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like not an insignificant role.
Yeah. And then I also noted that she has released 4 albums, so she's trying for that Grammy nom.
You go, girl.
Go get that nomination EGOT.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Like, was one of those people I did not realize who they were at all until.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
On the other hand, the dad, Dr. Bob Walker, is played by William Francis McGuire, and he has done basically nothing.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him.
All he's done is like minor background roles, and like 80% of them are as a cop of some sort. People just look at his face and say, "You can play a cop in the background." Basically, all he's done. As for the friends in the movie, who Kelsey was mentioning when watching the movie, couldn't even remember what their names were because they never used them.
True.
Playing Denise Palumbo is Nicole Dicker. She's done not that much other than small TV appearances in Goosebumps, Life with Derek, and Degrassi, among others.
Okay.
Playing the role of Jake is Kevin Duhaney, who's actually had a fair bit of voice acting success.
Oh.
He was Cameron on the Total Drama shows.
Okay.
He was also Ethan in multiple Power Rangers projects. That's like the Blue Ranger, I believe.
The blue one.
Blue Dino Ranger. I think it was like the dinosaur themed one. I don't.
There's a dinosaur one?
Power Rangers is such a deep topic that I know shockingly.
Okay.
I just know Power Rangers exists and has a shit ton of media. Most recently, like he was in the Blue People Avatar video game.
Okay.
Like a couple years ago as one of the main voices. And then finally, I have for Billy Mayer is Yanni Gelman, who is someone pretty famous from the Lizzie McGuire movie. I'll let you say it.
Oh my god, I just saw your notes. Paolo from the Lizzie McGuire movie? You're kidding me.
No, I was waiting for you to bring it up. I wasn't going to bring it up till here.
Holy
but
when
we were watching, I'm like, oh, yeah.
He goes and plays an Italian pop star? He's not Italian. Is he Italian?
I don't know.
That's incredible. Sing for me, Paolo.
He's also had notable roles on Pretty Little Liars, 90210, and Restless, among other things. He's had quite a bit of success, I would say. But, yeah. Finally, some fun facts. I actually only have one fact, which is that this is based on a book. The book's Tru Confessions by Janet Kashian. It was formatted as like filling in a computer diary.
Okay.
So I think instead of doing like the video diary, it was a computer diary, but like the whole book was formatted within that way.
Oh, that's creative.
Yeah. From what I could tell, the plot rolls roughly the same. I didn't find too much, and I wasn't going to go to a library and check this book out or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Unlike me, who read Can of Worms in a day.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I found it online though.
Yeah, and I found multiple people talking about how the book sucks, but the movie's great, and multiple people saying the movie sucks, but the book is great.
Interesting.
Mixed both opinions on it. Can't talk too much about anything.
Yeah. It's interesting. I feel like it's pretty rare for someone to say the movie is better than the book, but I have experienced that myself. My biggest example that I think is Stardust.
You mention that all the time, I think.
Yeah. Well, on the podcast.
Not on a podcast, in real life.
Yeah, in real life, because Stardust, the movie, is fantastic, and it's pretty different from the book by Neil Gaiman. And I enjoyed the movie a lot more. Do you have an example?
Trying to think stuff. I just feel like I haven't read enough stuff, if that makes sense, to really have good counter examples. I know people historically have said like Forrest Gump the book is terrible.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that'll be my take, despite never reading Forrest Gump the book.
Right. Yeah.
All right, and then we got the Disney Plus description.
Looks like a short one.
It is kind of a short one. Tru Walker, thought she had the worst life ever, with a father who was always working, a mother who never took her side, and a mentally impaired brother. When Tru gets a chance to follow her dream and star in a TV show, she finds out what it really means to be a family.
Okay, yeah, too short.
Too short.
Because they need to mention that she is making her own documentary thing.
Which is kind of the whole plot.
Yeah, instead of just like being in a TV show, starring in a TV show, like, I don't know. But also, the plot is pretty thin in this, where it is literally just like she's doing this film project and coping with living
it's more
with her
so of
brother.
a character study of
Yeah.
film.
Yeah, then like a bunch of stuff happening.
Yeah, which unfortunately we get a really annoying main character to have a character study. We don't like Tru.
We don't like
Again, I
Tru.
think there is room for a story like this to be powerful and important here. I just feel like Tru's character arc is silly, dumb, and not really conclusive.
Yeah,
Which it
and
doesn't
like
have to be, but at the same time, it's weird.
yeah, and like I want to give a little bit of grace because she's 14.
Yeah.
And 14-year-olds can very much be insufferable. I was one once. But what happens in this movie is a little annoying, and we can start getting into it. So, are you ready to jump into the movie?
Oh, babe, you know I am so ready to twitch his two in this movie.
Nice. All right. So we open up. It's very dramatic. There's these two kids playing in a field, right? They're in matching overalls because they're twins. It's our main characters, but young, right? Playing in a field, very dramatic music. We get Tru doing a voiceover. She says, "People on TV live perfect lives. Lucky them. Anyway, that's me and my twin brother Eddie. And I love my camera." I'm just summarizing what she's saying. It's not this clunky. She says, "And my friends just love being in my movies." And you see footage of her friends being annoyed that they're in her movie. And she's making them quote Titanic because they're on a boat.
Oh my god, get it? Like the movie.
Yeah.
That's crazy. She likes movies.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we cut into like real life. It's not just footage anymore. It's her interacting with her friends. And her friends are like, "We're too old for this." And Tru, "You just want your life to be like a sitcom." And she's like, "Yeah, so what?" And so then they get off the boat and they go to their bikes. And Tru's like, "I do want my life to be like a TV show." And then they bike to some sentimental montage music.
We get a lot of sentimental montage music in this film.
Yeah, a lot of sentimental montages happen. That's like the bulk of this movie, I will say. There's shots of nature, and then they go to Tru's house, and when they open the door, Eddie has a camera, and he goes, "Paparazzi, paparazzi," and he and Tru fight over the camera, and Mom comes home and is like, "Stop it," and the friends are like, "This is awkward, we're gonna go, bye," and Tru's like mad about it, and Eddie's sad.
Yeah, they'll be having a lot of fights like this throughout the film.
Yup.
But this is the opener for this movie, and it's just like, yeah, Eddie's being a little annoying stuff, but they also make it kind of established like the friends don't know what's going on when the rest of the film they're just hanging with Eddie and really friends for a long time.
Yeah, like they definitely know about Eddie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Eddie comes inside like a kicked puppy, and Tru is still mad at him. And Mom's like, "He didn't mean any harm. Eddie's just trying to be funny." And Tru's like, "Well, it wasn't funny." And Mom's like, "Eddie, say you're sorry." And he goes, "I'm sorry. Do you forgive me, Tru?" And Tru's like, "All right." And then Eddie leaves. And Mom's like, "Tru, why do you have to act like this?" And Tru's like, "If I did what he did, then I would be in trouble." And Mom says, "Yeah, but you know better. You just feels left out when you're with your friends." And Tru's like, "So whatever he does is perfectly fine, but I can't do anything." And she storms out. And you see that Eddie was listening in the whole time. And he's sad.
Poor Eddie.
Poor Eddie.
And Tru's just so mad.
Yeah. That's just basically what the movie is.
That
the
is
whole
basically
time.
the movie.
So Tru goes up to her room. And she imagines applause in the TV shooting of a sitcom. And it's her and her mom in the sitcom.
Okay, we get this angle a couple times throughout the movie, and I
Yeah.
just gotta say, I wish they made a better point about how like much of this show would suck. It's fake sitcom.
It's her dream scenario though. It doesn't have to be good.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is, I feel like it could have been poignant to be like, hey, the interesting stuff in life is not just everything being rainbows and butterflies. That's boring. No one wants to see that.
Yeah.
You don't have any actual struggles or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in the sitcom, her mom tells her that she's brilliant and she's proud of her, and True's like, so I can have more allowance? And the mom's like, yeah, and the audience is going wild. And then they go back to reality. And True turns on her camera and she starts vlogging.
Yeah,
and
this is before vlogging really existed. Otherwise, they would use the word. But
she has like an actual camcorder.
Yeah, because this is before smartphones.
Yeah.
So
And even before like webcams were a thing.
He's recording this all to like 8.
Yeah, it's like a video journal is what she calls it. So she says, my life is more like a soap opera than a sitcom. My mom totally doesn't get me, and she's always dealing with Eddie. And Dad operates on people's brains. Ew.
Exposition.
Yeah. And Dad's hardly around. And True says, is it psycho that I'm keeping this video journal? Not to me. Reasons why I'm making this journal.
All right, let's note these down. She says she has 101 reasons.
Yes. Reason number 1. When I'm famous, I'll put this video journal out in the world so people know what my life was like.
Okay, just saying, did Jeff Kinney steal this for Diary of a Wimpy Kid? Because that is just like the first page of Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
He's like, if one day if I get famous, this
the
is
only
what my
reason
life
I'm
is
taking this, writing this diary, is in case I get famous.
Yeah. Reason number 2. If foreign agents break in and drain my memory, I'll have this record of my life.
Weird for that to be reason 2.
She's a conspiracy theorist.
I wish they leaned more into that. That's more interesting than she normally is.
And 3. I really need something that's completely and privately mine. I feel like she was just struggling to come up with reasons.
That was the best one.
That was the best one, but like the foreign agent thing.
Yeah.
And she goes, I'll come up with the other 97 later.
Yeah, that was... If you can't... She said in that whole clip, like, I can tell you 101 reasons why. You can't only come up with 3 and then say, I'll tell you the others later. I haven't thought of them.
You know she doesn't ever go back to that.
Nope, she never talks about this the rest of this. It could have been kind of a fun thing if they kept the list going throughout. Like, reason number 4, because I need some free time from Eddie or something.
Reason number 5, I don't want to do my homework.
Reason number 6, I don't know. I like being on camera. It makes my ego bigger.
All right, so now we go to dinner. Well, they're prepping for dinner. And Eddie is setting up the plates and forks and whatever. He's being very particular about it. Dad isn't here yet because he's in surgery, as he always is. He operates on people's brains, man. And True, she asks her mom, like, what's for dinner, and realizes that they don't really need spoons. Even though they're having mashed potatoes, so you could use a spoon if you wanted, but not really necessary. Drew starts picking up the spoons, and Eddie starts freaking out. And he's like, no, we need them because my teacher said that this is how the table's set. Like, with spoons. He doesn't say it like that. No. Remember, he is like, he has autism or something. They never specifically say what he has.
When I read online, this may just be from the book, but I also do remember hearing this before. It's like oxygen deprivation at birth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not autism at all?
No.
Oh, interesting.
Which, yeah, I think the symptoms and everything that they're showing there doesn't really align with me for autism.
Yeah, no, I always felt a little weird about it, so that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Oxygen.
But yeah, I don't think they ever mentioned it. Maybe they do in like the boring brain version of a movie, and we just didn't listen.
I don't think they ever specifically say what he has. It's her just talking about the brain later. But I don't know. Maybe they do, and it was just so boring. They don't pay attention. But whatever. So True is getting frustrated, and she's like, I'm the one that has to do the dishes tonight. I don't want to wash spoons if we're not even going to use them. And Benji and I were like, oh my God, True. It's really not a big deal.
There's 4 people who eat this dinner. There's 4 spoons you can just put in the dishwasher because guess what? Yeah. If they weren't used, you can just put them in. You don't even need to rinse them off.
Yeah, no. Easy. Or, like, if you don't have a dishwasher, you're doing it by hand. Fill the sink up with soapy water. Splish splash them around.
You're done.
Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah. It's so easy.
This is where, again, it's hard to give True a lot of grace. Where, again, this is 14-year-old teenagers do this. So fine, whatever, but also she is being purposefully difficult at this beginning of the movie.
She needs to learn to let these small things roll off her back.
Yeah.
Better.
And it's a lot of stuff where it feels like these characters, it's a problem I have through the film. Other than the mom, the dad and Tru kind of feel like they are starting from a place that doesn't seem reasonable to start with.
Yeah, you said for like how old they are. Like this should have happened when they were like 6 or something, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but this is like pretty informative years.
Yeah. And again, it's like completely fine. It feels like since the audience hasn't seen Eddie and stuff, if they're making it seem like Tru hasn't, when Tru would have been living 14 years with Eddie.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Yeah. So mom says if it's such a big deal, I'll do the dishes, and Tru says it's not the point. And the mom says, I think the point is you want to argue about everything today.
So true.
I wrote burn.
The mom's the goat.
She really is. Mom's trying her absolute best.
The mom, again, it's the only one that comes away completely clean.
Tru says, you always worry about Eddie's feelings and not mine. Remember, they're talking about spoons.
Mm-hmm.
If this was like a different argument about something a little more serious, I would be like, yeah, Tru. Your feelings do matter.
But when it's about spoons, again, 4 small pieces of metal being on a table.
And then Tru, in still in the dining room, grabs her camera and vlogs. Note to self: when I do make a TV show about my life, ask someone else's mom. And then it like zooms in on the mom who is so hurt.
Yeah, she like turns around and goes, "Oh, pretty good." Like, the drama.
It feels a little dramatic, right?
Yeah, well, I think that's the point.
I know that like Tru is doing that to be mean. I feel like I would just kind of roll my eyes and be like, okay, Tru, but I don't know. Maybe the mom just like, damn, my daughter hates me, and that's sad. Okay, so then Tru storms off and she's vlogging about why Eddie is the most adjusted out of all of them. And she lists off reasons. So Eddie never checks himself in the mirror before leaving. Like someone I know. She's talking about her mom and how much she hates her mom. He's like, my mom cares about what she looks like when she leaves the house. Second, Eddie doesn't ask stupid questions. And then you see the mom at the grocery store asking the worker if the tomatoes are actually organic. I think this clip of her being like, I really want to know if these tomatoes are organic. She's just like desperate for adult conversation outside of her family, I think. He's like, please let me know if these tomatoes are organic.
My take on this is that out of the entire movie, this is the most awkward piece of dialogue there is, because it's not the question of like, excuse me, are these organic? It's these are listed as organic, but are they actually organic? Or are you just lying to me, Mr. like shelf stalker?
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
that is
he's
how
gonna
she
know?
phrases it. Yeah.
And
like, are you just trying to fool me?
This is not what the mom's like in the rest of the film either.
No, this is why I think she's just desperate for conversation.
Yeah.
It is weird. Next, Eddie would never pack leftover Chinese food with chopsticks for lunch and with a note that's written in Chinese. That is kind of cringe. Not the Chinese food part, the note is cringe.
Yeah, it was fake Chinese, and then it said "Have a rice day," which
it said "Have a rice day."
Yeah,
I missed that. That's awesome.
Yeah, see, coming around.
I am coming around.
It's both awesome. I mean, doing fake Chinese is definitely cringe, but also, like, again, the mom is trying, and she's just flaming her mom for crying, which I guess 14-year-olds, but still.
I think leftover Chinese food for lunch would be delicious. Okay. At dinner, Eddie is telling the paparazzi story, what happened earlier, to their dad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny. They're laughing about it. And then Eddie asks his mom, like, can I have some more broccoli? And so the mom passes the bowl over to Eddie and he drops it. Like, he never had a good grip on it. And it's glass, so it falls and it breaks. And the dad goes, "Rah, not again. We can't even eat the broccoli now. It's covered in glass."
Again, this is what I'm talking about. It doesn't feel like these characters have lived with Eddie for Eddie's whole life.
The dad always gets mad like
this. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm okay that his theoretical plot arc is learning that he A, needs to be more present with his family, and B, is too hard on Eddie. But the way that they're framing it is every single dinner that they have, Eddie drops something and the dad yells, which seems illogical.
Yeah, especially because, like, so Eddie's crying and he says he's sorry, and the dad is like, "Oh, it's okay. One of these days we'll go an entire meal without dropping or breaking anything." This happens every dinner?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. What? If this happens every dinner,
maybe don't buy some glass dishes.
maybe stop putting the broccoli in a glass bowl. Maybe use some plastic for once. Some paper? Like, stop spending your money on the glass and cleaning it up all the time. Like, geez Louise. You can go cheap with it. Especially when you have a son with a disability and he's constantly breaking glass. Also, it's a little bit the mom's fault. Like, you're handing it to him and there wasn't a grip there. Like, why don't you put it on the table next to him? Why don't you serve him the broccoli yourself?
Yeah.
I know maybe he wants to be independent, but like,
but you could just put it on the table next to him.
Yeah, like you could pass it, put it right on the table.
It seemed more awkward to hand it based on where they were all sitting.
Yeah,
but
and the dad's also like, "We can't even eat the broccoli anymore." Like, calm
that felt
down.
like something that was in the script, and then they got the props and everything and realized it didn't fully work, but just said, "We'll just do it how it's scripted."
It wasn't even that much broccoli, and broccoli isn't that expensive.
Yeah, but it's also again the dad's supposed to be like tired, angry from work and everything.
Yeah,
there's these points and counterpoints to everything. This film, the plot structure, the character development, everything isn't necessarily poorly done. I just think it's poorly cooked. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
The arcs and everything work fundamentally, but I just don't care enough about these characters to care about their arcs, and B, don't feel like these arcs make a lot of sense in the grander world that was being built up.
I feel like they don't go deep enough on like what happened to Eddie. What are these dynamics like? Yeah. Instead, it's just Tru storming off.
We only get a couple of scenes in the whole movie where Eddie actually emotes, if that makes sense, like talks about what he's feeling.
Yeah, they don't focus on Eddie enough at all.
And that's again where I feel like a lot of this movie feels kind of exploitative, where it's you don't have to frame a movie about a mentally impaired child through the mentally impaired child's focus.
It's fine to take it from Tru's perspective.
But so much of this movie feels like everyone is learning a life lesson through Eddie, and Eddie's not a human. That's what it like. I kept watching into this, and I kept feeling like they're acting like, oh my god, look at how much we can learn from Eddie and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of it's told at us instead of shown at for us, you know?
Yeah.
All right, back to the movie. In a room, Tru is sketching, and she's like, "Do you know baby sharks attack each other in the wound?" And then the sketches of the sharks have her and Eddie's faces on it, and they like attack each other. It's weird. And then Tru sees Eddie in his room. So Tru's looking out her window, and across the yard is Eddie's room.
This is something we had to pause and debate about.
I was like, what? Because usually this kind of shot in a movie is like you're looking across the yard and that's your neighbor's house. But they live together, so somehow the house is like L-shaped.
Or U-shaped.
We see the outside of the house, and I don't see that ever in the movie. And I know we're probably seeing one side of the house, but like, why is their house like this? Why can she look out her window into another window and see Eddie? Why do they have to do it like that?
It's so that they can get the image of it all where they want to both be in their individual rooms.
How big is this house?
The dad is a brain surgeon.
That's a good point.
Like, this is one of the rare DCOMs where the rich house makes sense.
Money, money, money.
Brain surgeons make a lot of money, and he's considered like a good brain surgeon.
Yeah, I think. Okay, guess they have an L-shaped house. And their rooms are very far apart from each other. I'm in the west wing. He's in the east wing. Where's the mom and dad's room? In the middle?
The middle. Well, not in the middle of them, but
Yeah.
on the basement floor.
Okay. So Tru sees Eddie in his room, and Tru's thinking like, I was born first. Maybe if Eddie came out first, he would be normal. I don't know. She's just like contemplating like what ifs, you know. I guess it makes a lot more sense considering his defects are from like the birth,
Yeah.
the act of the birth.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't something he was inherently born with. It was a lack of oxygen. See, I wish they explained this in the movie.
Yeah. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if they like briefly said it at one point because
I feel like I would have noted it.
I also feel like you would have noted it.
I don't know.
But I don't know. If they mention it, it's very small. They don't talk about it. So.
Yeah. Okay, so then Tru submits a question on a medical board website, and it's very generic. She's just like, I want to help my brother.
This is the awkward early internet phase.
Yeah. So in this that we hear her like voicing over what she's typing, she doesn't say what's wrong with Eddie.
She doesn't say what his disability is. She doesn't say anything specifically about what she's trying to accomplish. She's like, how do I get him to like fit in at school more?
How do we help him adjust to life? And it's if I were responding, I'd be like, what's wrong with him? Okay, so then they go to sleep and we're back to the kids playing in the field and the music's very dramatic and somber. Oh, look, they were so happy then. And it's kind of implied that Eddie's also dreaming of this.
They do a lot of this motif of just these young kids playing the field, and I guess we're supposed to presume it's the kids.
It's gotta be that.
But like they never established that. They never established this was like an event or something that they did. It's just
them as kids in a field.
Like, remember when we watched Gladiator and they kept going to like the hand through the grain?
Yeah, and we were like, what is this?
It feels like that. So that's one way this movie's like Gladiator.
Tru Confessions comparable to a Best Picture winner. Let's go. Okay, so now they're at school and Tru is talking with her friends who we never know their names. And she talks about this hot boy that she likes. His name's Billy.
Oh, Billy.
And apparently that's Paolo. It's Billy in this movie though.
He's definitely not problematic at all.
Yeah, and he and earlier asked her if there was an assignment today. So he must be in love with her, right? And then the other friend comes over and he has some big news, but he doesn't say what it is.
Yeah, he's like, he was gonna say it, but then they kind of shut him down.
Well, then because they're talking about Billy.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, well now you're gonna have to pay me money for the news.
Right, cut to class, and it looks like a special needs class. Well, there's a lot of students in there.
Because Jake was like, hey, let's go to his first period. Come on, let's go. And then her other friend, who I already forgot her name of, I did the fact
like Denise or something.
Denise.
Maybe not.
He turns around and is like, you don't know Tru well enough. Because Tru's gonna go walk and check in on Eddie.
Yeah. Which I guess it's showing now that Tru cares a lot about Eddie, but we haven't seen any of that yet. I guess she submitted the question to the medical board.
Yeah.
It's just very back and forth, which maybe that is what real life is like.
Yeah. Maybe we're hating on that too much. Maybe she just had a bad day the previous day.
Yeah.
It's been one day of annoyance and the rest of care and admiration. Yeah. It's interesting where she has patience and where she doesn't.
Yeah. So Tru looks in on Eddie and Eddie sees her, but then she turns to leave and she runs into Billy and it's really awkward. And she thinks in her head, could I be a bigger freak? If I had Billy Meyer as a boyfriend, my life would be perfect. And then it cuts to the only other sitcom scenario we get, I think, in the movie. It's an I Love Lucy spoof. So she's Lucy and Billy comes in and he's like, I lost my job, but I love you so much.
Aww.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of cute, but
it's also very meaningless.
Yeah.
Very much kind of just filler for this movie.
Yup.
I did think when I was watching this time, I was really worried after the phrase, could I be a bigger freak? Or they would do a shot cutting into the special needs classroom. I'm thankful the movie did
Oh
not.
my god, that would have been horrible.
Good on the movie for passing that
You
far.
thought she was gonna look in and be like, "Guess I could be a bigger freak."
That's where I thought it was going with that lead-in.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, very good they didn't do that. Benji in the writing room be like, "Hear me out."
No, do not put that on me.
Okay, so now Tru is filming Billy in the gym. Is she really?
I mean, that's what you wrote.
Oh, the gym. Okay, the gym where you like play basketball. I was thinking the gym like that you work out. I was like, what?
Nah.
No, they're like all in the gym, like recreation, whatever. Like it's not okay. It's fine. Whoops. Her friends and Eddie come over by her, and the guy friend is like, I have liverwurst for lunch. Gross. And then Tru opens her little container of lunch, and it's some chicken, some fried chicken.
Yeah. And friend.
He goes,
Mm.
Okay.
We have not mentioned that Jake, played by Kevin Duhaney,
He's
is
black.
black.
And Tru has fried chicken, and it feels just a little weird that that's what he's like, ooh, I really want that.
Like, I get that he has liverwurst, but again, any food other than a fried chicken,
Yeah, did
it
it
would
have
be
to be
completely fine.
Who brings fried chicken for lunch? I guess earlier she had Chinese food, but like it could have been most anything else. I don't know. It's weird that it's fried chicken. They're like, oh, her black friend, like, how are we gonna get him to share the big news? He
We'll
wants
give him
something in
fried
return.
chicken.
Yeah, he'll love the fried chicken. It's a little much.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real with y'all. Maybe you should have not take the racist stereotype.
Maybe this script needed another run.
Yeah. When did this come out? 2002?
2, I believe. There's not a time in DCOM history where it was early enough to get away with that.
No. So he's like, I want your chicken. I'll trade you my liverwurst. And she's like, no. And he says, okay, I have a way to make you a star. This is my big news. I'll trade you. And so she gives over the chicken. And then it cuts to Tru running in at home. And she tells her mom, there's a contest where kids make like a TV show. It's like 30 minutes TV show. And the winner gets to host their own TV show on like the local news network or something.
They don't really explain the rules of this as much as I feel like they should.
Yeah.
My interpretation based on what we see in here is kids are allowed to submit basically a 30-minute made for TV special, and the winner gets it played rather than hosting your own.
Yeah, that's what happens in the movie.
Yeah.
But like, I did write host their own show
And, like,
because that is what she said.
Yeah, the ad says host your own show, but like, does it count as hosting your own show if it's the thing that you filmed is being aired? Maybe?
Yeah.
Arguably?
We don't get to know if this goes beyond that special airing. Like, does she get more episodes? We don't know.
Oh yeah, spoiler
Probably
alert,
not.
she's gonna win this contest.
Duh.
Crazy. Also, if you got this far in Tru Confessions podcast and didn't figure that out, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Have you seen a DCOM before? Imagine she just doesn't win and we never see the video.
That could be
And
something.
the movie just ends. Anyway. The mom is like, oh, okay, well, you know, a ton of people are probably gonna enter. Like, she's really just doesn't have much faith that Tru's gonna win, and maybe she's trying to set up her expectations. But Tru,
it's because Tru immediately, it doesn't say like I'm gonna enter this contest and I'm excited when Tru says I'm gonna be a star and I'm gonna like be on TV.
I'm gonna win.
She doesn't put in the question of like it's a competition.
Yeah, she just loves TV so much. I wonder what kind of TV she likes. Like 60 Minutes, you think?
No, based on what she's talked about, like sitcoms.
Oh yeah, like she likes sitcoms, but then she makes like a 60 Minutes segment.
Yeah.
That's not a sitcom. Whatever. So then Tru vlogs trying to come up with a name for her show, and she's trying to play off her name Tru, and it's gonna be Tru. And she never says Tru Confessions, like not even at the end of the movie.
Did she not? Did she really not say it during that?
Not that I remember. Do you remember
I
saying
thought
True
she said
Confessions?
it during this section where she's like, you can't handle the truth or whatever.
Yeah. Well, maybe she does, and I just didn't
My God,
catch
what
it.
about True Jackson Beat?
Oh,
That's the
hell
name of
yeah.
the show right there.
You know, and they say it later in the movie. I didn't realize True is playing off of Trudy. And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And is that also what True Jackson VP was?
That I don't know, but also that would make sense.
That would make a lot of sense.
You know what? That's worth it.
Alright, look up if True Jackson VP's name is Trudy.
It looks like just True.
It's just
True?
Oh, it has an E.
Yeah.
This True does not have an E.
No.
Because it's part of Trudy.
Shout out Keke Palmer.
Shout out Keke Palmer.
Come on the cast.
Shout out Keke Palmer. Your name is just True in that show. And this True is named Trudy. And they are different people. Okay. In class, the teacher is telling the class about a book report assignment. It doesn't matter. We're not talking about the book report at all in this movie. It's just a shot to be that they're in class right now. Yeah. The bell rings and True goes up to her teacher and we'll never talk to him again. So don't think that this is going to be an important character.
This whole movie and everything, they do a lot of in-school shots, but they do no actual school.
No school plot at all.
Not even the minimal amount. It's entirely just completely in the background.
They just go to school.
Which, again, is fine, but it's like weird that they have so many in-class scenes for it to legitimately just be, oh, these are where you interact with people. Which, again, kids only really interact with other people in school, like for a mass amount.
Mm-hmm.
It's their workplace type thing, but still weird.
Yeah. So True goes up to her teacher after class and says, I told you about the contest, right? Well, I need your help. All my ideas stink. And he's like, well, you should film what you know. Don't be clever, be real. And she's like, okay. So then at work, Mom sees True's post online. She's like, I was researching something for Eddie, and I came across this post. So she must mention what diagnosis he has in the post, because that's how the mom came across it, right? We just don't get to know.
Maybe it's posted like in a specific form for that disability.
That's a really good point. Okay, sounds good. This is the only time we see the mom at work. Does she have a job?
Apparently she does. Again, I thought she would be stay at home again because a brain surgeon is certainly enough.
Yeah, but she's like definitely in an office
right
now. It's weird.
She's not running an errand or something. She's talking with a coworker for this scene.
Yeah, in an office.
Maybe she does something like part-time.
Okay. Or maybe, yeah, since her kids are at school now.
Yeah.
I don't know. So she's like, yeah, I found my daughter's post online. She wants help for her brother, a way to feel more comfortable in the world. And the mom is sad that True doesn't go to her for help anymore, which is just like typical teenage daughter stuff. And the coworker's like, man, she's just a teenager. And then we see the mom like turn around and click, and so like maybe she sent a response. I don't think we're supposed to know yet that she does, because they kind of reveal it later. But it's pretty obvious that like she's gonna respond.
No, I think actually we see her essentially hit the enter button, but it looks like just a closing of a text. But I think that's her actually sending the response.
Maybe it's her opening like reply, and then she's gonna type something.
It's clear.
Yeah, it was clear enough to us. Also, we had seen the movie before, but like it's pretty obvious. Okay, so then at home, True and her mom are talking, and True says, having a boy twin means that they can't do like fun stuff like the Parent Trap, where they switch places. She's like, we can't switch places and pull pranks and stuff.
Also, that only happens for identical twins, which is a whole separate thing than just opposite gender twins.
Yeah, I guess she's assuming that if she had a girl twin, they would look the same.
Yeah, which is not a guarantee at all.
No. Okay.
I know multiple twins who do not look alike at all.
They're fraternal twins. You know any identical twins? I don't.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
And I think I know one pair of identical twins.
That's fun. Do they switch places?
I don't know them well. They were my brother's friends.
So the answer is You wouldn't know if they did.
I wouldn't know.
So then Eddie comes in wearing a lab coat and has some medical tools, and he's pretending to be their dad. And he grabs a watermelon. He's like, "It's broken brain." And Mom and True are just playing along, and they're like, "Oh." And he starts stabbing the watermelon.
And they're all making a lot of noises. It's interesting. They all go loud with Eddie. There's something throughout like the whole movie. Whenever Eddie's doing something, they all make big, loud noises and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And again, maybe that's where I know people with autism I've met, a lot of them do not like loud noises.
But he doesn't have autism.
It's a completely different thing. That's one thing where again I was like, it feels different compared to what stuff you're showing where these like supporters, the families are making these loud noises, but I'm probably happy with it.
Yeah, I guess he likes loud noises. Then the dad storms in all mad, and Eddie clams up, and the mom's like, "No, it's okay." But the dad's like, "No, those tools are antiques. They were a gift from my father, blah, blah, blah." And the mom's like, "He's being careful." And the dad's like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." And then Eddie gets upset, and he drops the watermelon, and it, like, explodes. It's very
If
dramatic.
it dropped on someone, it would be goof, but I'm not counting it as a goof.
No. So then the mom and dad are talking alone, and the dad's like, "Why do I suck?" I don't think he says
Yeah.
actually, but it was essentially what he said. And the mom's like, "It's all about your tone. You scare him." And he's like, "Well, at least I don't baby him." And the mom's like, "I give him help when he needs help." And he's like, "No, we need to raise the bar." And I was like, maybe this is as good as it gets. And dad's like, "I can't accept that. We need to push him." And mom's like, "Well, he's made it this far. Like, he's going to a mainstream school." And the dad's like, "Well, I'm a surgeon. Don't lecture me on coming to grip with my son's limitations, blah, blah, blah."
They probably didn't say what the disability was to make it more generically approachable and like relatable to, because this movie is made essentially for siblings of.
Yes, but also, I think representation matters.
Yes, I agree. I agree. I don't think it's good to say one size fits all.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm saying like all of the stuff within this conversation, though, like you've done better than like anyone ever thought or anything, but like compared to what?
Yeah, compared to other kids with this.
Where did they think he would get?
Yeah, so
It's very empty words.
Yeah, that's the dad being shitty.
That's the dad throughout this movie.
He needs to just learn to accept his son. And again, the mom just tried her best. So then that night, True's sleeping and dreams more of them as kids in the field. We come back to the kids in the field all the time.
I love that motif.
And
The kids just do be in that field.
they do be in their overalls in that field.
What a lovely day.
And he lost Eddie this time though. And she's yelling for him. She's going, "Eddie." And then it like the lighting gets a little darker and it's a scary dark field now. And she's calling for Eddie. And then Eddie in real life is sleeping on the floor and he's calling for True in his sleep. True. And then dad comes in and puts him back in bed and like comforts him. So maybe the dad isn't all bad. And there are moments in the film where it's like, oh, look, the dad is trying, but he's still not the best dad. And he learns his lesson at the end of the movie.
And again, I could accept a lot more of the arc if it doesn't really make sense because they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have a character arc of the dad who's being too hard.
Mm-hmm.
But also they need to show this dad who's been supportive to this kid to get him to this point, because they just had the whole scene saying Eddie's further than like they ever thought he would be.
Yeah, and then we have this whole scene. The next scene is the dad and Eddie playing catch. And Eddie's like bad at it, you know, but the dad is like being patient and they play more. And honestly, the dad sucks at catching.
Yeah,
'Cause
there are multiple times it hits his glove.
Yeah.
And in baseball, if it hits your glove, you gotta catch it.
You gotta catch it.
It's easier to catch a ball that hits your glove than it is to drop it.
Yeah, and Eddie says, "You're terrible," and he's right. So the dad's like, "Let's go get some hot fudge sundaes." And he still kind of seems annoyed with Eddie.
He just wants his son to be perfect right away.
Yeah, and he's not even good at catching.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he expected out of this.
You didn't give him the good genes.
Yeah. But he's trying in this moment, and he's not getting too angry. So that's something. the movie gives the dad a ton of grace. At least Prue does. Prue gives her dad a lot of grace, and her mom 0 grace.
That seems wrong. We'll talk
Yeah.
about this more when the dad kind of gets his comeuppance and
Yeah.
everything. But they actually at one point do it in a way that I was like, wow, that's really smart. And then they ruin it by having another scene.
Okay, we'll get there.
I'll get there. Yeah.
All right, so now True's in a room, and in her room there are like 4 TVs that are just playing static, and she has a computer. I'm like, what's with all these screens? Did you notice that?
I don't think I did.
It's
No.
like she has like a shelf that's like 3 TVs like on top of one
I wonder
another.
if that just like pretend for the movie to create some interesting things. There's no way you have 4 TVs in your childhood
I know, and they're like those little small kind of
monitors,
tube
old
TVs.
CRTVs.
Yeah. But it's just like, whoa, this girl loves TV. She has like 4 of them in her room. Anyway, she reads the response to her post. Well, she has multiple responses. She pictures an old lady reading the first one that's like, you just need to have more faith. And she's like, man, I don't like that. And then there's a guy on a motorcycle reading the next one, and he's like, well, the school board helped my kid. Maybe it'll help your kid. Which I didn't think was that bad of advice. But she doesn't like that one either. And then she reads one by Dee Dee, and she imagines a really nice, like, trad wife that's, like, from the 50s with a pie kind of vibe, and telling her that she will be fine, and her brother will be fine because of the love and support. It's like, thanks, Dee Dee.
Oh, I love you, Dee Dee.
I love Dee Dee.
Why do you think Dee Dee was the chosen?
I don't know. That's like the username. So then back on the boat, True's with her friends, and she's like, maybe Billy will be in my film. Yeah, right.
He's too hot to be in my film.
He's so hot.
Boing.
This contest could be the beginning of the rest of True's life. And her friends are like annoyed. And the boat docks, and True's like, my life is so boring. How can I make a film about that?
Film about what I know? All I know is boring stuff. Nothing in my life is cool.
She literally has a brother. We'll figure it out.
Wait,
She'll figure it out.
Give it 2 more sentences.
True's like, what about a parody? I can't do animation or a music video. And then she sees Eddie, and she's like, what a brilliant idea. And they're like, what? And she's like, I can't tell you.
This is dumb because she just runs back on the boat, tells her friends, hey, can you make sure Eddie gets home safely? And then leaves. There is nothing she needs to do going home early.
She's like, I need to go do research.
Yeah. You can tell your friends they're willing to give criticism right away, you know?
I don't know.
And then friends would be like, yeah, that's a good idea.
They probably would say it's a good idea. This movie is weird, okay? This movie's weird. So now at home, True sees her dad because he's home early, and she asks him for help with the contest. And he's like, what contest? And she's like, I told you before, but whatever. I'm gonna make a show about Eddie and how doctors are helping his condition. So could you get like your nice, handsome doctor friends to
And she's
help?
like, I want to interview a doctor, and the dad's starting to be like, oh, me?
Me?
Oh, you?
And True's like, no, I don't want you to do it. And then Eddie rollerblades in the house, and he's causing a commotion. And then the phone rings, and then the doorbell rings. And
oh
then
my god, a lot of chaos.
True answers the door, and oh my god, it's Billy.
It's Billy delivering the groceries.
Oh my god, Billy delivers groceries.
He's got a job. What a man.
What a man, what a man. So Billy's coming in to like help deliver the groceries in the house, I guess. And Eddie's still rollerblading, and they knock True over and whatever. Billy leaves, and they're like, sorry about all the craziness. And then mom comes home, and dad's like, I gotta go to the hospital. And True's like, Dad. And he's like, I'll help you later. And True's just so mad about everything that happened that she takes the carrots, the brand new carrots, and she shoves them in the garbage disposal.
This is such a weird reaction.
It's like so dramatic. And the mom's like, what the hell are you doing?
The mom who hasn't really seen pretty much anything that really went on.
And True says, Why can't it just be normal, Mom? That was Billy! Billy! And Mom's like, I don't care who it was. Why you destroyed perfectly good
It's
food?
such a weird reaction. You can go like punch a pillar or something. This is just taking carrots that are not like tied to the event basically at all,
The carrots fell on the floor, Benji. They're related.
and putting them in the garbage disposal, still all tied up, so you can't even
Yeah.
break them down.
They're full carrot. That's gonna break your garbage disposal.
Yeah.
They're not cooked either.
No.
Those are hard carrots that she's just gonna ruin her garbage disposal. And I was like, why are you destroying the
Is
food?
Tru just dumb?
He is dumb. And she goes, I'm sorry. Damn. You ever just get so mad that you just shove a carrot down a drain?
No. I think the point I'm trying to make is no. I don't think anyone does. What the hell is Tru doing?
Wow, if I had a nickel every time I shoved a carrot down a garbage disposal, I'd
I-
have 2 nickels.
No, you wouldn't. You'd have 3.
3 nickels. It's not a lot. It's weird it's happened thrice. But then that night, Eddie and Dad race to the dinner table. Ha! See, he is a supportive father. And then they're like, "Oh, True will come down in a minute." And then True comes down, and she places some paper carrots that she made, like a little drawing of a carrot.
Yummy.
Yum! She puts it on everyone's plate, and they pretend to eat it because it's like a little gesture, I guess, of like, "I'm sorry, I destroyed the
I'm
carrots."
sorry, that may have been an overreaction.
And she goes, I know how I will make this less awkward. I will give everyone a paper carrot.
It's not about.
It's a little weird, but
It's a little weird, but I kind of like it.
yeah.
It's you saying, "I know what I did. I'm acknowledging it. We don't even need to use words."
At least, like, it's something a little fun and quirky happening in this movie, because
Very little fun and quirky happens in this movie.
very true. And then the mom fake eats it, and they tease her about, like, Billy and stuff, and it's all in good fun. Look at them being a happy family. So then True writes back to Dee Dee, and she's confiding it to her about her stress. And she's like, my mom is too busy to hear about any of this.
And my mom's awful and terrible. And let me tell you, you're better than my mom.
Yeah, and Eddie's just totally content with everything. She says, I spend so much time watching him and worrying, but maybe he's luckier than any of us. He knows he'll be taken care of, and he goes at his own speed. Most of the time, he's happier than anyone. That's that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, just like any time though, she's like, my mom sucks ass. She doesn't want to listen to me when all the mom does is try to talk to her and listen to her.
Yeah, and also they just kind of assume Eddie's happy because he displays happiness and like excitement and everything. I feel like they're downplaying the complex that he's having.
Yeah, and we see those emotions in the film.
Yeah, the best scene in the film when we get to it is like one of the rare times they let Eddie have emotions and like help people.
Yeah. So then we get a montage of her making her movie. She talks to her doctor. She films Eddie. She does brain research. In class, she falls asleep and falls out of her desk. And of course, Billy is there to see it. Just one of the many montages we get.
Yeah.
So then True is ready to show her friends her show, and Eddie's there too. So True turns it on, and it's called Inside the Brain of Eddie Walker.
Yeah, she asks her friends to give actual, genuine feedback. Don't hold back.
Yeah.
And instead of making anything interesting at all, she just did basically a brain lecture.
Yeah.
Where it's very much, it's the driest thing you've ever seen. I feel like one of the friends needed to use the word dry to explain it.
It's very dry. It just talks about facts about the brain, and that's about it. We don't even get to know what Eddie has, or maybe we do, and it's just so boring that why would we pay attention to it? And the friends try to be supportive, but they're also very bored, and Eddie, like, falls asleep. And Drew goes, what do you think? Come on, I want honesty. And they're like, we hate it. It's boring. And Drew's like, you're right, it stings. And so the friends are like, well, it is a medical show. Maybe you should get another opinion. And then they leave, and Eddie also leaves, and he says, good job, True. And then True shows it to her mom, and she's like, what do you think, Mom? And the mom's like, well, it's not everyone's cup of tea. You played it too safe. I want to know where you are in all of this, like emotionally. You need
This
to do
is
your point of
this
view.
is great advice,
This is great
and
advice.
this is again where we get mad at Tru because she's gonna say how much she hates this. But I'd like to point out if the story that she's trying to make, it may have been completely accurate and functionally successful, but it's not gonna win this competition when it has no story, no emotional pull.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where film is such an interesting medium where it's not you can't write a textbook in your script.
Yeah.
You have to be telling a story, even if you're trying to present like a document. There
Yeah.
has to be a hook.
And so mom gave this great advice of like, hey, put yourself in it more. What are you thinking about all of this? And True says, stop. I get it. You hated it. I'm a failure. And then she storms off. And the mom goes, help.
Yeah, because Prue heard from her friends that it would harsher criticism, and then her
Yeah.
mom gives her something constructive, and Prue hates it.
He gave great advice about how to improve it.
If Dee Dee said that, I think True may have accepted it.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. The mom's like, here's what I think you should do instead. And True's like, I get it. You hate it. Like, what? Huh? All right, so then that night, True is reading Eddie a story in his room. It's a picture book. And he goes, do the lamb voice, True. And she goes, ah, I'm a lamb. Like, not a voice.
It's such a small moment in here, and it's really funny because, yeah, Eddie gets so excited for True to do a lamb voice, and it's basically just her voice.
She doesn't change her voice at all. That doesn't sound like a lamb, True. So then Eddie's like, read it again. But she goes, no, Eddie, I'm too tired. And then she's like, Eddie, was my show really that awful? And he goes, it needs more car crashes.
So true.
So true. She's like, you're right. It's the worst. What if I don't have talent and I'm boring? And he goes, no, you're funny. And True's like, well, I'm glad you think so. And then Eddie goes, True, are you mad at me? He says, of course not. Why? He says, because you never play with me anymore. She says, I'm sorry. I've just been busy with my tape. And Eddie's like, it makes me sad. And she says, how come? And he says, because you used to be my twin and now you're not.
Yeah. We kind of glossed over through this. This is one of the better scenes, I think, in terms of.
Anytime Eddie gets to talk about his feelings, it's a great scene.
It's like where you can feel, again, this movie is not a complete failure in terms of power or anything. I just feel like the stories that could be found within here are not properly caved out. They don't mine them out.
No, they should have given Eddie more to do with Prue. I don't know. I think it just needed to be reworked, but it's also a DCOM, like
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So in her room, True types to Deanie, and she's like, my mom makes everything sound like criticism. True. No, she doesn't. So infuriating how much she hates her mom. Which, like, I know she's a teenager. I know that. But like, it's frustrating to see it. She says, if I make it too personal, won't people laugh at me?
You want to be a star, you're gonna have to show yourself.
Yeah.
That's a you put your emotions on the line. That's part of being a public figure.
She literally, like, she knows her movie is boring. And so her mom's like, maybe try to put some emotion in it, some of your emotions. And she's like, how dare you criticize me?
Even though everyone has told her movie's boring.
Yeah.
Everyone.
So now they're at soccer. This is the only scene we get where it's like, oh, I guess they play soccer.
Yeah. I think this is like a Special Olympics thing.
Oh, is it?
But that's my take. I think I could be completely wrong. I believe one of the other kids that were in the class that Eddie was in is also on this team. That's what's me to think this.
But True also plays.
Yes. Special Olympics is like
Okay.
yeah.
And it's obviously like recreational.
Special Olympics was like cool.
Okay.
Yeah. It's typically co-ed in terms of disability enabled.
So So then Coach says, like, oh, hey guys, remember not to use your hands, Eddie. And he's like, oh, try. Now they're playing the game, and the dad's filming it. And the mom complains about one of the boys being a ball hog, and the dad's like, "Yo, his parents are right there."
I like that just a small bit of comedy in this film that's
Yeah.
it's typically lacking in comedy. I like that.
That's refreshing. And then True has the ball, and it kind of like slows down, and we get a voiceover that says, "It's great having Eddie on my team because we have like twin telepathy sometimes. I don't even have to look, and I know that he's open."
It's good because all she's doing when she's playing soccer is having her head straight down towards the
Straight
ball.
down to the ball. She doesn't look.
Pretty bad soccer form.
Yeah.
Luckily, Eddie is the GOAT and can get open.
So she passes the ball to Eddie, and he scores in slow motion.
And honestly, against a diving keeper who's like trying his goddamn heart out.
It was a really good shot, actually. Yeah. It's a good job to Eddie. And I wrote in my notes, wow, such a heartfelt moment with heartfelt music in slow motion.
Man, I hope we see that like 5 more times this movie.
With more heartfelt music. That'd be good. That'd be good.
Yeah.
So then True gets her reply from Dee Dee. And Dee Dee says, it's risky to share your feelings, but no great art is made without great risk. And
Dee Dee, you said it better than I could.
True is like, oh my god, that's so true, Dee Dee. Oh my god, that's such great advice. It's like literally the same advice her mom gives, but now she loves it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then out walking, True is talking with her friend about how safe she feels with Dee Dee.
Oh my god, Dee Dee's so like motherly.
Yeah, and her friend's like, what if Dee Dee's actually just a really creepy guy? Like, what if you're being catfish?
Oh my god. Catfish didn't exist yet as a term, Kelsey.
No, it did not. You're
2002.
Right.
What a fantastic time.
I feel like it was going to be soon, though, because wasn't it the thousands that movie came out?
I can Google it. My guess is 2010.
Whoa. Okay. You know what? That makes sense, because then they started doing the TV show after that.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, though, it was such a thing where I felt like at least this is something I relate to in childhood is hearing like, oh, you don't know who's on the other side of these message boards or anything. It's wild to see how much the internet's evolved to the point where no one cares anymore. You can be talking to a dangerous stranger, but it's not like you're actually going to meet up in person. That just
Well, I hope you don't. Some kids do.
Yeah.
And that's really bad. Don't do that, kids. Okay, so the friend's like, what if he's a creepy guy? And True's like, no, come on, it's a medical support site. Plus, she's very helpful and nice.
Yeah, imagine being like a groomer and stalking a medical support site.
Found this girl who has a brother with a mental disability. I'm gonna take advantage of her.
Oh god.
Like, that's where you're scoping out your teenage girls? Odd choice. Okay. And then True films Eddie on the pier. And the friend's like, are you sure you want to film about you and Eddie? And True says no. And that's all I wrote about that.
Yeah. I mean, she's just, it's like, it's scary, you know?
Okay. It's just funny reading back in my notes. She was like, no. And then we just leave that
That's
there.
the end of the scene.
So then True goes to her room and she pulls out a box that's locked and she unlocks it with a little key. And inside are tapes labeled like Eddie and me and whatever. So she plays a tape. And it's like funny footage of her and Eddie playing. And then there's footage of them fighting in public. And True watches it in a montage format because that's all this movie is a series of montages. And there's footage of Eddie spilling milk at dinner and the dad's freaking out. Don't worry, we're gonna see all of these clips again.
Yeah,
literally all of them.
Don't worry about it. We're gonna speed through these, except we won't see this one.
Oh yeah, there's footage of Eddie getting a ball thrown at his head, and a kid calls him the R word.
Yeah, we're not gonna say the word.
No, but it's thrown around a lot in the movie.
Which probably is not a bad thing for the movie that it is, because it's never thrown without the power of it.
Yeah, they do like recognize the significance of the word. It is 2002.
In 2002, this is more kind to the fact that like it's not a good word.
Yeah.
So I can respect that much.
So then True, Eddie, and her mom are leaving for an outing, and Dad isn't there. What the heck? He's in surgery again. So they go to the beach, and Eddie's trying to fly a kite, and True is filming him. And Eddie is mad at the kite because it's not flying, and True says, Eddie, maybe there's not enough wind. And Eddie says, no, it isn't the wind's fault. It's a stupid kite.
Yeah, it's the kite. The kite's stupid.
It must be our word. And it's so tragic that it's coming from Eddie because he hears this word. He
And
hears
it's showing all the
him.
internalization of everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's crying. It's very powerful.
Again, this is where one of the scenes where I'm like, no, you know what? There's power within this movie. There's a lot of stuff that it can be saying. And again, it's only whenever we get to hear from Eddie.
Yeah. I know.
When it's other people talking about Eddie and like reacting to him, the power is just not nearly as there.
No, it's way better when we get to see Eddie, and I wish the movie had more of that, but it happens a couple times. So that night it's storming and they drive home, and True's watching her footage of the kite scene and the sad moments in the car. And she says, they can't show people this. What if they laugh at Eddie? And Mom says, why would they? Aren't they showing how much she means to you? I think it'll be moving. And True says, you're my mom. You have to say that. My friend Dee Dee says I shouldn't be afraid, even though people can be really cruel sometimes. It's like, well, you're my mom's. You have to say it. But my friend Dee Dee says the same thing.
Yeah, who is also you. I feel like the mom tries to come clean about being Dee Dee at this moment. And, like, I feel like True should honestly figure it out.
I know, because the mom says, speaking of Dee Dee, can I tell you something? And True goes, what? That Dee Dee can be some 800-pound guy? She gets me, Mom. She understands me. And then they get out of the car. No reveal. Because True just blows up at her mom any second she gets.
Yep. Woo, what a movie. Can you believe we still got a third of this to go? Yeah. This is actually like half.
Luckily, it is the best third of the movie. It's the last third, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. In a room, True reads more from Dee Dee, and Dee Dee says, you should send in the tape. Show your true self, and you'll be rewarded.
With that exact line.
Yeah. Luckily, I wrote it down because it comes back. Those exact words. Okay. So then, True's gonna submit her tape, and her and her friend are sprinkling some shit on the tape, and they're saying like a witch hex.
Yeah, this is very random.
Yeah, and the guy friend is like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "You know, the luck I can get." And so they put it in the mailbox, and they're like,
friends didn't get to see it beforehand.
Yeah, they're like, "I can't believe you didn't even show it to us." And he's like, "There was no time."
Yeah.
Okay. Then we go back home. Mom is cooking, and True comes home, and she says, hey, Mom, I mailed my tape. And the mom's like, that's great. If you show your true self, you'll be rewarded.
Oh my god, what?
True's like, what the fuck did you just say? Where did you come up with that? And the mom's like, oh dear.
The mom could have said, like, I just thought of it. And completely got away, but she wants to come clean.
She should have said, it's a very popular saying that everybody says. But no, you're right, she does want to come clean.
Yeah, so I get her reaction. But guess who doesn't get her reaction? True. True is just so mad at her mom for being like, why did you lie and pretend you were Dee Dee just to, like, get something over on me, make me say something stupid?
Yeah, she's like, you're gonna make me say something stupid that you can use against me? Like her mom wants to blackmail her or something?
True, you ever think that your mom just, like, loves you and wanted to connect and talk with you and you were appreciating the advice when it was being done in a different form?
You loved the advice until now.
Now that you know it's from someone who, like, genuinely cares about you, you hate it? I understand it's, like, a little bit weird, but at the same time, from the outsider perspective, it's entirely clear why this was working and the mom wasn't trying to lie to you.
I know, if you just, like, took 2 seconds to actually talk to your mom and listen to her, you'd be getting the same advice from your mom face to face.
True, literally at some point, it's just like, Mom, you could have just talked to me. And the answer is no.
Who says that? You could have just talked to me, Mom. I change her place all the time. It's so frustrating. This, like, and maybe it's because we're adults watching this, but like, God,
yeah,
it's so frustrating. The truth is like, I never want to talk to you again. I hate you. I can't believe you do this to me. So then Okay, it's a new scene. They're at like some local fair or farmer's market or something.
Yeah, like a local carnival.
Yeah. Whatever. Parents are walking around. Mom's like, "How long do you think she'll be mad at me?" And the dad like makes a joke or something. Um, True and Eddie are off on their own, and True's actually looking for Eddie on the merry-go-round, but then she goes off and looks for him, and she sees him walking by the water, and she sees that he's wearing a hat. She
He
says,
has a blue hat on.
Where did you get that hat?" And he points to some boys over on a bridge, and he's like, "They gave it to me." And True says, "What? How many times I have to say you don't take things from strangers?" And he says, "But they gave it to me." And True just doesn't believe him, which I think you need to give Eddie some more credit.
Yeah. Though, she's pissed about everything that's going on, and she feels like she needs to be in more control. So that's kind of the emotions I'm getting from there. And B, maybe this is something that happens more often.
That he just takes things, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he's saying that they gave it to me, and it's just like so obvious that they were bullying him, and she probably should have clocked that, but
Yeah.
whatever. They go over to the boys, and right before they get there, Eddie's like, "True, you like Billy," and she doesn't catch on that Billy's gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to the boys. "Oh my god, it's Billy!" True's like, "Does this hat belong to you?" And Billy goes to grab it, but then as True lets go, he lets it fall down
We get
to
a
the
dramatic
ground.
shot of the hat
Yeah,
falling to the ground.
it's very dramatic. He goes, "Oh no, I said he could have it. Isn't this be kind to R word week?" And
He doesn't say R word. He says the R
he
word.
says the R word, and a friend in the back goes, "Oh, totally."
Oh, what a good one! Oh, I totally got him.
Besides, why would we want that back after all three of us spit in it? And she was like, "You spit in it and then gave it to him to put on his head?" Which is gross. I feel like it should have been worse, though.
Yeah, but if it was worse, you would have been able to see it visibly.
True. Yeah, it is gross and mean.
And why would you admit that to his sister? What's the game?
That's so true. They just want to be like, yeah, we bullied him to take that.
Yeah, this is really just kind of out of character.
Well, we just didn't really
No,
know
no, no.
Billy.
I'm not saying his character or anything. I'm just saying it's weird to just be publicly bullying like this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She was like, "What's wrong with you?" And Billy's like, "What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you, freak? I'm beginning to think you're a bigger mental case than he is." Why does he say this? What has she done?
Nothing.
Nothing other than like
Defend her brother.
Yeah. And then True shoves him off the bridge into the river.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
I don't even know if we mentioned this was on a bridge.
I mentioned his friend.
Yeah, just completely shoves him into the river, and they just let him fall into the river and like try and swim, and they leave it there, which is kind of great.
Which it is not a far fall. Like he is not breaking any limbs or anything. He's fine. And they show him swimming, so he's fine. I think it's awesome.
it really is kind of out of nowhere, and it's pretty nice for
She
that.
just shoves him, and then she grabs Eddie and leaves. And then True runs by her parents, says, "We're leaving," and they're like, "What's wrong?" And she turns and says, "You wouldn't understand." True. This is a very emotionally charged moment. But like telling your parents you wouldn't understand when what's happening right now is that some boys were bullying Eddie, like, yeah, they would understand. They'd probably high five you for shoving that boy off a bridge.
Yeah,
I would.
no, that she doesn't trust her parents, and I
No.
guess her dad never gives a reason not to, but her mom never, or her dad never gives a reason to trust.
But she does trust her dad more than the mom.
Yeah, but the mom has never done anything to disearn this trust.
I know. So then another montage happens. Are we surprised?
Oh my god, can you believe they're talking about kids in a field? Not talking, showing.
Showing kids in a field, and it's sad music, and they're in the car, and it's a montage. That's crazy. This movie is so unique in its storytelling. Alright, so then True um has a picture of Billy on her computer, and she goes click, and the picture like disappears. It's actually impressive. It's like she made a little animation of Billy disappearing or something.
Yeah, it really, for the amount of Photoshop that is and isn't available in 2002, it's honestly a pretty big commitment to make that.
And then her mom comes in her room and she says, I don't want to talk to you. And the mom's like, okay, but I need to tell you something. And True says, I don't want to hear it.
Well, yeah, let's be clear about what she says here. He says, I don't want to hear it. And then the mom says, well, then you can just listen.
I don't want to hear what you have to say. Well, then listen.
They needed to cut the last 2 lines of dialogue out, so it was just, I don't want to talk to you. And then it's just, well, then you can just listen. And that works completely fine.
Yeah.
But they added the extras, and now the whole phrasing does not work.
I don't want to hear you. You could listen instead. So then mom says, I'm sorry for what I did. It was wrong, and I'm really sorry. I just wanted to reach you. And True says, fine. So we're okay? They spit in his hat, Mom, then gave it to him to wear. If you think I'm jumping ahead of the dialogue, no, that's exactly what she said after Mom says, so we're okay. True just goes, they spit in his hat. They spit in his hat, Mom. And the mom's like, what?
The mom has no idea what's going on because 0 people have filled her in at all what's going on here.
And True goes, it's fine. Everything's okay. And then she slams the door on her mom. And the mom gets 0 context of what that was about.
So she's got to just try and figure everything out on her own.
And remember, later in the film, True says, you could have just talked to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez Louise. Alright, so then we get a short scene of True calling WTUV, which is the channel that the contest's on. And she's like, when will the winner be announced? Oh, you recognize my voice? Bye.
She's calling at her friend's house.
Really?
Yes. So it's not a caller ID or anything.
Damn. Yeah, they just fully recognize her voice because she calls all the time.
Yeah. Well, now we get to see the library scene, which we have no context for why they're at the library.
No, they're just hanging out at the library. This is like the biggest scene, I think.
Yeah. Also, this is a 5-story library.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
So that's the library. Eddie says, True, can I get another book? And True says, sure, you know where the kids section is. It's right over there. And so Eddie goes off by himself. And then he's carrying a bunch of books. One slides into the elevator that's open. So he goes into the elevator to get it. But then there's a bunch of people on the elevator and it ends up on a different floor. So Eddie now doesn't know where he is.
And he walks out of the elevator and it's just hallways of books.
Yep.
And if you think about it, a library is kind of a terrifying place to be trapped.
Yeah, when you're on a floor that you don't recognize, all of the rows look the same. It's just lined with books. You don't know where your sister is. He starts calling for True. And it's honestly really well done with like how much he's panicking.
Yeah.
And you can see the panic creeping in. This is like the best scene, one of the best scenes of the movie. He's calling for True and he starts yelling very loudly that True can hear him from the floor above, so she starts running for him. And then a man comes in and he's like, you need to be quiet. But Eddie's just freaking out and he runs into some books and they fall. And the dude's like, ow. Brr. And then True comes in and hugs Eddie. And the man says, excuse me, this is a library. Maybe you should take him outside.
After this whole episode and everything, I feel like you should maybe not be talking to these kids that way.
I know, this guy's an asshole. Oh. And True's like, sure, we just need a minute.
The librarian, rather than leaving it there, is like, this is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And then her guy friend is there with
Jake, I believe.
Jake. He says, they said they need a minute, okay? Just chill.
We haven't really talked about it. Jake is also coming out completely unscathed in this movie. he does everything right as far as I'm concerned.
That was awesome. Like, dude, they need a minute.
And then he leaves the 2 of them alone, says, I'll go, contact her.
Yeah, he got the guy to back off. So then True helps Eddie, and we get another big emotional scene from Eddie where he expresses what he's feeling. So this is when the movie is at its best. Eddie says, it's not fair. I want to be done being different. I want to be the same as everybody else. And True says, everybody's different. And Eddie says, no, I'm real different. And True says, you're right. You are different. But if you were just the same as everyone else, you wouldn't get extra help in school. You couldn't rollerblade in the house. And you wouldn't be the amazing brother that I love. And he says, you mean it? And she's crying. And he says, True, did I make you sad? What's wrong? And she says, Nothing. And then he holds up his sleeve and he says, Blow. And they hug. And he says, I love you, True. And she says, I love you too, Eddie. And this is the best emotional climax that these two have together.
Mhm.
And you can finally see True being like, no, these are all these wonderful things about you.
Yeah.
And I just wish, I wish that we built better to this moment.
Yeah. I feel like it's also weird to hear about, like, she was complaining about Eddie rollerblading in the house, you know? It's kind of weird for that, but, like, it's a whole thing. It's the best done scene here because, again, we get to hear Eddie's whole take on this. He becomes a character for bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then True tells her dad about how she was mad that she didn't have her camera when Eddie was melting down. Isn't that awful? And then Ed's like, don't be too hard on yourself. You're just mortal after all. Go get some sleep now. And then there's dramatic music, as there always is. I wish I could play you guys the dramatic music, but I'm too lazy to do that. So then True and Eddie get home, and there's a letter for True by the phone. Oh my gosh, this is it from the TV station. Oh my gosh, I won! I didn't. That's true. My mom hugs True, and she says, I knew you could do it. And then True just flips on a dime. She says, if people make fun of me for all the personal stuff I showed, it's totally going to be your fault. True later in the movie, you could have just talked to me.
Yeah, this fucking movie.
Like, True, what did you want your mom to do there? She said congratulations and hugged you, and you said it's gonna be your fault if people make fun of me. Like, this is True. Like, all of a sudden being worried that now people are actually gonna see her. No, right? It's scary. Why are
She
you
just takes
laughing?
everything out on her mom, and I
She
know
does.
that type of behavior happens and exists, but I don't want to see it, and I don't like it.
I don't like seeing it. I am annoyed at True. And then Eddie and Mom like awkwardly high five each other. All right, so then at school, the principal makes an announcement about True's contest win. It's gonna air tomorrow evening, so tune in. And they say Trudy, and I'm like, oh, her name's Trudy. All right, so then it's the night of the premiere, and True and her friends are over at her house to watch. Where's Dad? Oh, he'll make it. Meh. And then Eddie comes down. He's wearing like sunglasses, and he's like, I'm a superstar. And then Dad calls because he's running late because he's at the hospital. He's like, I need to check on my patients. And you'll tape it, right? We'll watch it later. And True's like, yeah, okay. Love you, bye. And True's disappointed. But now it's starting. And Dad at the hospital was playing on the TV at the hospital. So
Yeah, the
he gets
dad's like, I can't watch it, but then he also takes his entire shift to watch
to
it.
watch it. The whole half hour he watches it after he says, like, I need to check on my patients and talk to their family. The patient and the family just have to wait half an hour, I guess. Maybe that's what doctors are doing.
Maybe that is what doctors are doing. Sometimes you do wait half an hour and it's confusing.
Yeah, you're like, what?
All right, tell us about the movie.
Okay, so it starts off funny with Eddie like burping and stuff, and it's quirky and fun. And Eddie's happy to see himself on TV, and everybody's watching in delight. True talks about how beautiful and profound Eddie is. And there's a scene where they see a spider web, and True's like, gross, a spider web. And Eddie says, no, it's not gross, it's beautiful and strong.
This scene, first off, this entire movie does not nearly hit, but also we don't get to see the whole 30-minute special, so I'm not gonna like punish the movie for not being as good as it's making itself out to be. But this scene in particular makes me laugh because the only way they could have this camera set up is for True to set up a camera behind a spider web and then lead Eddie to the spider web to start talking about it.
No, I think her friend was filming it. Because that happens sometimes.
Okay.
That's my theory. Does that spider web remind you of maybe a certain other spider web that we talked about maybe 2 weeks ago?
Talking about sequel?
Yeah.
Yes.
They were freaked out by that spider web, but they couldn't go around it. But Eddie, wow, he just sees the world a different way. It's a spider web. And Eddie talks about how God doesn't make mistakes as he's dancing with his mom, and it's sweet. And then True says, but living with a twin with a mental disability isn't always easy. And then we get footage of them fighting. She says when Eddie acts like this, people think, how can you live with him? And then we see the kite footage where he says it must be the R word. And Tru opens up on the movie about how embarrassing it is sometimes. But she wishes that people would get to know him like she does. And the dad's still watching, by the way. As we mentioned, he doesn't go and see his patients. So, at the end, she says, if you ever feel sorry for Eddie, don't. He has more joy than any other kid I know. And don't feel sorry for me either, because I have a brother to teach me the important things in life. And then there's more montage footage of them being happy.
Yeah, I feel like all we see in this movie within a movie is pretty basic, but again, like
it's very generic.
But maybe there's a better through line, but you can't show that in a like 2-minute montage of this.
You can show it in a full length movie like we're watching right now.
That's the problem. The full length movie also is pretty generic.
Like,
what is this movie actually trying to say?
It's something that is oddly topical. A criticism I saw, so the Oscars just happened, right? And Adrian Brody got on stage after winning Best Actor and gave a very long speech. And someone was pointing out, like, he was saying very generic things. Like, racism is bad. Anti-Semitism is bad. And while these things are true, when you have this platform, you should, like, say the more specific things, right? Point out the specific problems in society. And I wish this movie pointed more specific things out other than
it's okay to have a smaller scope rather than just trying to be generically.
Representation matters. Like, instead of just saying my generic mental disability brother is a good person and he's happy all the time and we should learn to accept him. Like, that's the most basic you can get in this plot. And that is the entire movie is like this.
Yeah.
Come on. I just wish it was done better. And like, again, it's 2002. It's a DCOM. So our expectations shouldn't be this high. But what we're doing right now in this podcast is criticizing the movie. So this is what we're going to talk about. Then the movie was over. The movie within the movie. And like, wow, that was great. And he's like, you're going to be a star, Tru. And even the dad's choked up.
Yeah. This is what I mentioned earlier. I feel like they have one really good scene with the dad where there's actually a lot. And it's this the dad watching at the hospital, and he's like choked up, proud of his daughter and everything about it. And then his other doctor friend comments about, like, where were you within this? And the dad says, you noticed, huh?
Yeah.
And they talk about being invisible fathers, and dad's like, yeah, some of us more than others. And I think this is, I kind of wish they left it here and didn't have the scene that they have later, which I think kind of ruins the whole point.
Yeah, like,
he's like missing the life, missing all these aspects.
Like, if only the dad came to the conclusion himself after seeing,
which it sounds like he did, but then he doesn't later. That's where I'm like, this scene actually I feel like works really well in terms of potential character growth.
Yeah, and it's because they gave the dad two things. They gave him, you're absent and you're too hard on Eddie, and he needs to fix both of those. Like, I wish it was.
This movie is not complex enough to deal with two separate issues like that needing to be fixed. It needed to pick one to be a DCOM.
They should have just picked with you're absent, and like, instead of him getting angry all the time, they could have just had him be indifferent.
Yeah.
And that would have been better.
Yes. No, completely. I agree.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So he's talking with his friend, and the friend's like, "Oh, we're doctors. It happens." So the dad's like, "Yeah." So then the friends are like, "Wasn't that scary for you to do, Tru? I wonder what the other kids think. Who knows?" And then Tru imagines like a nightmare scenario of a bunch of kids in school saying,
"Okay, I want to say this first." This might be my favorite part of the movie. I don't know why
this first girl.
I don't care about the other reviews within here, but this first girl's review is iconic, and I hope she has a Letterboxd page.
This is Benji's Letterboxd review of this movie.
Her opinions were dumb, all the images were cliches, and her wardrobe was like completely the worst.
I would go hard on Letterboxd, like, if you've seen the movie.
I feel like that's so good. Such a good review.
Because that is this movie in a nutshell. Her opinions are dumb. the images are cliche, and her wardrobe is like completely the worst. Actually, I don't mind her clothes for the record. Another kid says, if I were Tru, I'd drop out of school and move to Siberia. It would have been much more effective if she'd done the entire thing in Spanish. A teacher said that one, I don't know.
Amelia Perez be like.
And then Billy's like, whole half hour with the R word twins. He says the actual R word. Pasadena.
Good one, Billy.
Billy.
All right, but that nightmare, believe it or not, wasn't true. At school the next day, Tru's just getting compliments.
She walks in the door, and everyone's immediately like, that was awesome, Tru. Great job, Tru. And it results in everyone like forming a circle around her and Eddie and applauding her. Were they waiting for her to get to school to do this?
Did they all just see her stumble in? Did everyone really go home and watch this? I wouldn't.
Hey, the principal said to.
I don't think I would watch this.
No, I don't. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's cool
if you have free time.
If your classmate got on TV, isn't that kind of cool?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, so they hug as everybody applauds them. And she sees Billy and it's like, whatever, Billy. You suck. She doesn't say that, but you can tell that's what she's thinking. And he's like, and he walks away. Because you're like, you suck, Billy. So now at home, this is the big emotional scene with Dad.
Yeah. They decide, okay, now we have to resolve everything with the dad. And instead of the dad realizing that he was absent, he's just going to be like, why didn't you show me in the movie?
I think he's convinced himself that he is around. And he's like, well, you should show me the clips that I am in. Not realizing what's gonna happen. So yeah, he's like talking to Tru and he's like, I watched your show again. You know, the casual viewer might not realize you even have a dad. And Tru's like, sorry, I tried to put you in more. Well, what happened? She said, if I used all the stuff I shot, you'd be mad. And he says, well, now you have to show me.
Camera footage just showing your dad being like verbally abusive.
And she's like, you'd be mad at me for showing the truth. But he's like, you have to show me now. And she says, I don't want to hurt your feelings. And he's like, what'd you do? Draw devil horns on me? Let's let the footage speak for itself. So it's good that doesn't come back at all. He's not at all mad at Tru. Why would he be? Like, this is just footage of what actually happened. So she puts on a tape that she conveniently already has in her bag of all the footage of the dad. I don't know why she's carrying that around. And then we see the spilled milk scene where the dad got mad and he says, okay, I lost my temper once. It happens. What else? And then there's just a ton of footage of
Every
dad
clip is
getting
just
mad.
the dad yelling at Eddie.
Yep. In a montage format, by the way. And he says it's all like this. And Tru's like, yeah, pretty much. Either that or you weren't there. And she says, Dad, your job is really hard and you have a lot of stress. We get it. Tru immediately starts making excuses for her father.
When she will never give her mother a single bit of credit. What a daddy.
Yeah. And Dad's like, it's no excuse. You deserve better than this. What do I do now? I had no idea. Who is that guy? And Tru says, Eddie loves us no matter what, even when we make mistakes. You, me, and Mom are his whole world. He loves us. Maybe all we have to do is love him back. And then they hug.
Aww.
Yeah, it's just frustrating that Tru and in turn the movie are like, yeah, Dad, you were trying your best. And with the mom, it's like,
Mom,
come on,
you fucking
Mom.
suck.
Come on,
Get
Mom.
out of my life.
You could have done better, Mom. As if she's not under stress too. I guess she doesn't do brain surgery.
Speaking of the mom, I think Tru has to go and talk with her, right?
Yeah. So Tru offers to delete the footage of her dad, but he's like, nah, keep it. You might need to keep me in line. And then he leaves and Tru sees the footage of her saying, remind me that if I get my own TV show to cast someone else as my mom. And she sees her mom disappointed and she's like, oh.
Maybe I do need to work things out with my mom.
Yeah. So she goes outside in the garden where her mom is. And Tru says, you never had to be Dee Dee. All you had to do was talk to me.
Shut the fuck up, girl.
Girl, how many times do we point out the times
that your mom tried to talk to you and you refused?
And the mom says, you make it sound so easy. And they sit down, and Mom says, it wasn't that long ago that you used to tell me everything. And True says, just because I don't tell you every intimate detail of my life doesn't mean I don't love you. And Mom says, I never thought you didn't love me. I just missed you. And then True starts to cry. And she says, when I was making my movie, watching it me. What does that mean? I'm watching it? Me.
We just watched the movie yesterday. What the hell? What the hell was that supposed to be?
It was me or something for so long. Eddie and I weren't ever the same. Oh, she's like, it was me. It was truly me in that video or something. I don't know. For so long, Eddie and I weren't ever the same, but we played Monkey Man and played soccer and goofed around. Mom's like, you grew up together. And True says, now I'll go to college, probably get married and have kids, and Eddie will always stay Eddie.
Yeah, she's like grieving the fact that he's not gonna change.
She's finally opening up to her mom, and it's a good moment. I wish the whole movie was like this. I wish we could have explored these kind of emotions earlier.
Yeah, it would be better.
All right, so now, final stretch, conclusion now. True's voicing over. The life isn't like a TV show. I'll survive.
It's hilarious to say this when you are literally a part of a TV movie.
Yeah. Just because in real life things don't get wrapped up nice and tidy doesn't mean they can't improve. Dad makes an effort to be around more and relax. Trying being the key word. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah, they're showing footage of him and Eddie trying to build a house of cards and it like failing at the top, which maybe don't do a house of cards if you're trying to be cool.
Yeah. Also, yeah, just again, this movie being like, well, the dad can try his best.
They forgive the dad too much on the abuse.
It's the gender norms.
Yes.
Of like, oh, well, as long as the dad tries his best, whereas the mom has to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me mad. Mom is gonna be more available so that we can talk and stuff. It's like
the mom was nothing but available.
She was nothing but available. She literally the whole time was like, I just want you to talk to me more. And True's like, well, you never will talk to me. And like, ugh. It's so frustrating. But then True does say, and yes, I promise to actually listen and be open with her. Thank you, True. And Eddie will always be Eddie. And then they watch the footage of the goal that they made in soccer, and Eddie's like, play it again. And True's like, why do you want to watch it again? It's not like it's going to change. And Eddie says, I don't want it to change. It's you and me being twins. And then we get more footage of them as kids in the field. What else is new?
Crazy.
The end. Special Olympics shout out.
Yeah, and the credits. I think they shout out another organization as well.
I didn't catch that one.
But
that's the movie.
That's the movie.
That's Tru Confessions.
I feel like we've shared enough of our thoughts between here. We don't need to go too much further.
I don't think it handled it the best. It's not horrible. There's definitely some good moments.
It's a movie that at its best shines with like powerful moments and can make you genuinely feel something.
Yeah.
But at its worst, it is being exploitative of like people who can't necessarily defend themselves and is really built to just like gauge the reactions of people who are viewing their brother or child more as a prop.
Yeah.
And that doesn't feel nice to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't remember exactly where we had this ranked before.
Well, I can tell you. Idle Jank House ranking is 71, which isn't like crazy high, but honestly, I would put it lower.
Yeah.
I think recency bias helped it a lot because this was one of the last DCOMs.
This was in our last like 5 in like a marathon of watching them. So,
and I think the ending of the movie clouds you into thinking it's a better movie than it actually is because I do think that the ending is pretty good. Like the last third with the library and they watching the tape and like she has her heart-to-hearts with her parents. Like those are all pretty good moments. I wish the whole movie was better. Benji, you have it at 76.
Yeah. Again, I think I could put it down more because what this movie does wrong stood out to me more.
Yeah, more this time. I have it way higher at 54. I would definitely move it down. It's in my C tier. I would maybe even put it in B. I don't know.
Yeah, I had it at the bottom of C tier. I would.
Yeah, I have it like pretty high
Because
C tier.
what we're defending is like a decent high, but the lows are very lower than just 4.
Yeah.
It has an F tier floor, you know?
Yeah. Like, I wish it was better. I gave it too much credit before. But I don't know. Maybe y'all really like it. And there are things to like about this
Yeah.
movie.
And if
I
this is
don't hate
something
all of
that
it.
helped you, good on you. We don't have to have the same opinions as everyone
Yeah.
else.
I don't know. This time, for some reason, we just notice its flaws more than its positive.
Maybe I've been feeling a little depressed lately. Maybe that doesn't help.
Maybe we're too cynical. But yeah, definitely not the worst movie we've seen. Not the worst DCOM we've seen.
No, we haven't got to that one.
No. That's Tru Confessions. If y'all have any thoughts that you would like to share with us, email us at thedcomduo@gmail.com or comment somewhere. We'll probably see it.
Yeah.
Now we have to spin the wheel and see what movie we're gonna watch next.
Oh my god, it's gonna be Under Wraps.
I think it's gonna be Hatching Pete.
Fun and funner.
Let's spin the wheel. Ooh. Okay. So it's not Hatching Pete, but it does have Jason Dolly in it.
Do you have any idea how little that narrows it down?
Read it and weep.
Read it and weep. Okay. You know what? I'm down. I feel like this is one that I don't know. I feel like there's some positives to Read it and weep, and I think that's a house we underrated this one.
This one's pretty silly, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to revisit it.
Yeah. It certainly exists.
So thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you in 2 weeks to talk about Read It and Weep.
Oh my god, Read it and weep? Oh, that's gonna be so good.
Did you just forget that I told you we were
No, I know. I was just like reacting like the fans are gonna react because they heard that.
You were cosplaying as our fan.
Yeah, our fan.
Our fan. Single fan. Thank you, single fan. Hope you're excited for Read and Weep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Scenes from our next episode.
Oh my god. I'm like such a professional book author now that I can't go to my friends' events.
My friend's protest.
Yeah.
I can't believe you scheduled your book signing on the same day as my protest.
I can't believe this anonymous poetry wasn't by my crush, but was said by my best friend, Jason Dolly.
Hey, my dad works at a pizza shop. I remember that.
Hey, I'm gonna pretend like my sister in real life is my book character.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Is this book about us?
Wait a minute. That's suspicious. Oh my god,
Are you talking shit?
Let's make some wacky pizza. Seaweed!
Seaweed on pizza? Wait a minute.
The pizza parlor is saved. How is the pizza place only like living or dying based on the success of the book? Am I remembering that right?
I mean, she starts making money.
Yeah. But like the whole movie is like, will the pizza parlor survive or not?
Yeah.
That's silly.